What's going on, guys? Okay, so we're back for round three. Round three, I'm going to try for a third time. Hopefully the final time. In fact, this will be the final time that I make this video. This is the video based off the lecture that I held in the Hamza Discord server about 3-4 weeks ago, maybe even longer. Honestly, time's just flown by. Where I spoke about how your ethos defines you as a person. And the files got corrupted twice over, so if this happens a third time, I think I'm just gonna knock it on the head and just say, you know what, this is my sign from the universal digital YouTube gods that, you know what, don't make this video for whatever reason, and just quit YouTube and, I don't know, go rejoin the army or something. But anyways, this video is based on the ethos that I like to imbibe, of what I like to live by. It's the code of conduct that the British Army themselves have created to help shape, an undisciplined, non-military person or civilian, and turn them into a well-rounded soldier that can integrate with society. And the way I look at this is it's a principle that everybody could live by. When you're watching this, please feel free to adapt it in whatever way, shape, or form you'd like to, but I'm just going to go ahead and share my thoughts on it and just, outline the various elements and how they can be portrayed to help forge your ethos as a person. So the acronym that the army uses that I like to follow in my life too is CDROS. Okay, and that stands for courage, discipline, respect for others, integrity, loyalty, and selflessness or selfless commitment. And I'm going to break this down stage by stage. So the first point being courage, I like to think of it as an element that's broken into two parts, both internal and external. And as an example, your internal courage is the feeling of fear. I bet you didn't think that, right? I bet you didn't guess that was what I was going to say. For me, courage or bravery is being able to act in the presence of fear or resistance. Okay, and it's as we go through the points, you'll actually see how all these aspects tend to overlap, which is quite nice because that's what brings it all together, right? It's a one complete package. Can't have one without the other. But with courage, you find that with the sense of fear or feeling a sense of hesitance or nervousness, anxiety, whatever it is, courage is the ability to act while you're still feeling that pressure. And internally, that is a key component to being able to do that aspect, because if you don't have the internal fuel, then externally it's not going to be shown, right? Again, you can't have one without the other. And an example of external courage would be, just like, for example, it's like going bungee jumping, right? You know for a fact that, yeah, you're putting yourself in a dangerous position, okay? But you do it anyways, right? Because you want to achieve a common goal or an objective. Or something a little bit more relatable, I think, that every young guy has gone through the pain and process of, is when you see a girl that you like and you're afraid of rejection, but you go up and talk to her anyways, right? It doesn't matter. I want to just really iterate at this point. It doesn't matter whether you get the number, whether you get the snap or the Instagram or whatever it is you go on a date. The fact that you made the approach is all that matters, right? The fact that you went up there and, despite the gut-wrenching or sweat-inducing nervous feeling that you had ticking in the back of your head, with all these thoughts of, oh my god, what if she rejects me? Maybe just wait till she's off her phone, or you're creating all these weird excuses. You just took the jump, you took the leap, and you did it anyways, and that puts you one step further in your own personal development journey, right? So that, in essence, is courage in a nutshell. The next point I'm going to talk about is discipline. And discipline, again, is split into two parts. So for myself, personally, the way I like to look at discipline is internal discipline has to do with your routine, your order, and, being able to doing the hard work, right? Especially when you don't feel like it, or doing the right thing on a difficult day, as I was taught through basic training. right? And that is part of, like seeing something that you don't really like doing or that you don't want to do, or even if it's something as waking up at 6 o'clock every morning so that you could go to the gym, right? That's something that I do personally. Yeah, I wake up at 6 a.m. every single day to start my day. And there are days where I'm very tired. Some days I wake up, I just want to hit snooze, I want to go back to bed. Sometimes I have done that. And it's those days where I do those things that I actually feel worse. Because even though I got more sleep, I feel like I've wasted more of that day. So part of internal discipline is having a routine set out and then sticking to it. And then that nicely translates over into your, external discipline, because you're then carrying out the action of staying in that routine by continuously doing the same thing and building up on those habits, right? Building up on consistency, which, funny enough, is something that I've slacked on a little bit with content creation, but I've been busy elsewhere, right? So your discipline is the thing that keeps everything together, right? And another aspect of discipline that I personally believe is quite important is the way in which you present yourself. So something as simple as, wearing clean pressed clothes, or taking some pride in your appearance, right? Grooming, trimming, shaving your beard. If you can't like sort of grow a beard in full thickness, then better to be clean shaved, or just grow a little bit of stubble, for example. Having neat trimmed hair, right? Clipping your nails, your fingernails, your toenails, right? Like grooming yourself, right? Taking pride in these little things. Wearing shoes that, look clean and free of dirt. Having clothes that fit you to accent your, your physique, your frame, right? Because this all has a stack-on effect on how you perceive yourself, which is most importantly, but then it also has a knock-on effect to how other people perceive you. So if you think about it this way, right? Imagine a police officer walks up to you and they are dressed all disheveled, scraggly. You can see there's like holes and rips and tears in the uniform. Maybe their like vest is like all undone. It just looks really like chippy and crap. Are you gonna really, want to talk to that police officer? Would you put your faith in them rather to get, if you had an issue that needed to be solved, would you put your faith in them to get it done? Probably not, right? Because they just look as though they can't take care of themselves. So you take care of yourself shows that, one, you're disciplined, you have a sense of order, you have a sense of pride about yourself, right? So that's like a little multifaceted element when it comes to discipline. Next, I'm going to talk about respect for others. And respect for others, again, it's a two-way thing, right? So in order to have respect for others, you need to show and demonstrate you have respect for yourself. And part of showing that you have respect for yourself is to adhere to your routine. Are you a man or a woman of your word, right? Do you take pride in your appearance? When you interact with other people, do you carry yourself with the type of energy that says, you know what, I respect my time, I respect my space. I know what I'm about, I'm on a journey. If you can respect that, cool. If not, then that's fine. But I don't need your energy, you can go away, go elsewhere, right? And that then naturally translates over to how you display respect for other people. Because if you're someone who respects your own time, naturally that type of behavior will come across to another person by respecting their time. So if you are a timely person, if you say like you give yourself 10 minutes to wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, wash, shave and all that stuff, right? And if you tell someone that, okay, look, I'll be there in 10 minutes, you know just how long 10 minutes feels because you've been doing it for so long for yourself. So when you give someone like a rough estimation on when you're going to meet them or whatever it is, then you show that and you demonstrate that by basically committing to your word, right? So you can see how the internal aspects here, there's a trend that the internal aspects of all these principles have to fundamentally do with your own internal monologue. And then the external is the actions in which you portray that internal monologue to the public, to the wider public, right? And that's how you present yourself, that's how people perceive you. It's overall how you as an individual are seen as a member of society, right? So that is respect for others. Then integrity, and I think integrity is kind of like the nucleus of all the principles, right? Your personal integrity, or in other words, is like, your honor, right? Your word is your bond, and your actions even more so, because when you leave this planet, right? I was told this by my parents and even my own like team leaders when I was in the military, and they said whatever life you choose to live, it doesn't matter, how rich or famous you became, right? Those are all just like byproducts of your endeavors and your actions. But when you leave this planet, you will be remembered for two things: the words you spoke and the actions that you committed, right? And that is fundamental to your integral aspect. So, kind of backtracking to what I said with the respect for others aspect, are you a person who respects other people? Is your word your bond, right? Do you follow through when you say that you're going to do something? Like I myself have struggled with this in the past, where I would take on so much work and then make all these commitments and then not be able to honor all of them. And while it's easy to say and make an excuse that, oh well, I was so busy doing this, this, and this, but in the eyes of the other people that I made a promise to and I had to break that promise, you know, it can go two ways. They can choose to forgive me, sure, which is fine, but in the back of their head, they'll think, yeah, this person is becoming a bit more of a liability. And each time something like that happens, you'll find the people that you're dealing with, especially if it keeps happening to them, they will become more reluctant and less likely to want to, you know, interact you, whether it's from a business perspective or even if it's just a hangout, right? It's a classic example is when you make plans to meet up with a friend and you have to keep canceling at the last minute, or you just don't get back to them on time. Eventually you or the other person will start to feel like, yeah, I don't know if I can trust this person's word. How do I know that they'll commit and see it through? Do I even want to bother trying to meet them halfway when they're probably not even going to leave the house or make that effort? And it's just human behavior, it's just human psychology. It's just quite natural to feel that way because it's like a learned pattern, right? So that's a big part of integrity. It's also being disciplined and then respecting yourself, because that within itself shows how much respect you have for yourself, right? And that then translates over to how others will perceive you. So then we're moving on to loyalty now. And loyalty, again, it's like, are you a person who is someone who, is true to their beliefs, right? Deep down to my core, I am a firm believer that, actions speak louder than words, right? And so each and every day, with whatever my goals are for that day, whatever I've written down in my planner, I take action towards it, even if it's in a small, minute way, right? Because that way, I'm showing that I'm, without it sounding weird, but like loyal to my cause, right? Because every person needs to have a cause or a purpose or a passion or something that drives them in life. Like, as I'm saying this, just ask yourself, what gets you out of bed in the morning, right? What gets you out of bed and makes you want to move towards the goals that you have in your life? Now, the loyalty aspect is from an internal perspective, like, will you stand true to your values? Because let's just say, for example, if you're in a working environment, right, and there's the opportunity to get a promotion, for example, but in order to do that, like, your team leader or your manager is asking you to basically compromise on something that's quite integral to you. And the loyalty aspect is, well, okay, would I sacrifice that so that I can get, into this position to fill this role, right? It's a bit of a tricky one, but it's got a lot to do with, how true to your word you are and true to yourself. And then on the flip side, external loyalty is, again, like being there for your support group, because a support group or a team Social circle is only as strong as its weakest link. So when someone is down on hard times, would you be there for them? Would you be there to help them out? Or are you the type who's just more of a like keep to yourself type of person? Either way is fine. These are just points to make you think a little bit, right? And finally is selfless commitment or selflessness. Now this is kind of like a little bit of an ironic one, because in order to become selfless and to learn selflessness, you have to first become selfish, right? A little bit controversial, because in order to learn how to become someone who can, take care of other people, we first have to learn to take care of ourselves. And that is a fundamental aspect in order to essentially learn about, ourselves. Because I had to do that over the last like 2 years or so, right? When I went through my own self-development journey, and I'm still going through it, I think, to a degree, right? I'm still trying to learn how to piece everything together and hold it together so that I can be more consistent, from a consistency basis, right? Because I practice my routines, my rituals every single day. I just like to showcase it more. And part of that means that, yeah, I have to be a bit selfish. I have to take more time for myself to record or create content or schedule or write things down, right? It may mean that I have to skip out on meeting up with friends like as much as I'd like to, right? So instead of meeting up with them like twice a week, I'll meet up with them once, or sometimes like twice a month. That's more of a realistic thing, right? Because I don't think anybody is that active. But even then, if you're someone who is quite active, you've got to think about, how can I better myself so I can then use that value that I've gained and the knowledge and the experience that I've gained to become better for other people and help them along their journeys. So that's the idea of it, right? And essentially that's sea drills in a nutshell. Okay. And I mean, before I close this down, I'll just say there's one thing that I'd like you to remember, guys, is value understands value, right? And that's not to sound like all wishy-washy and everything, but it's like if when you're someone who lives by a certain principle and you live to a certain, rule or ethos, you will naturally start to attract people of a similar mindset and with similar values, right? And I'm a firm believer in you are what you attract. And yes, of course, you will meet other people who don't have similar values to you. I mean, the world is, it's just like one big playground, right? So you're bound to run into other people. You're bound to run into other players. But for the most part, when it comes to doing the activities that you enjoy, whether it's like hobbies, crafts, etc., it'll become so much more apparent that you start to align yourself with other people who share the same mindset and have the same goals in life. I know I, for one, am starting to see more and more of that in every aspect of my life. So looking forward to seeing that. And I hope that this video helped you guys out. Comment down below what you guys agree with. And if there's anything you disagree with, please feel free to jot it down and also mention why, because I'd like to gain some constructive criticism going forward from here. But yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. That was the lecture. I do apologize once again. And yeah, that's it. Peace, guys.